Carbon emissions explain. In the realm of carbon accounting, understanding emissions is crucial for companies striving to reduce their environmental impact and contribute to a sustainable future. Emissions are typically categorized into three distinct scopes: Scope 1, Scope 2, and Scope 3. Each classification provides a different lens through which to view a company's carbon footprint, allowing for targeted strategies to mitigate climate change. Scope 1 emissions are the most straightforward and refer to direct emissions that come from sources owned or controlled by a company. Imagine a bustling manufacturing plant where factory chimneys belch out smoke from the combustion of fossil fuels. Each plume of smoke represents the direct emissions produced by the company's operations. Additionally, consider the fleet of company vehicles, from delivery trucks to employee cars. The gasoline and diesel burned in these vehicles contribute directly to Scope 1 emissions. For companies, understanding these emissions is a matter of accountability. They can measure and manage what they directly control. By investing in cleaner technologies or transitioning to electric vehicles, businesses can significantly reduce their Scope 1 emissions, making immediate impacts on their overall carbon footprint. Next, we delve into Scope 2 emissions, which encompass indirect emissions resulting from the consumption of purchased electricity, heat, or steam. These emissions are not produced on-site but are a consequence of the energy a company uses. For instance, a company might rely on coal-powered energy to illuminate its offices and power its machinery. While the actual combustion of coal occurs far from the company's premises, the emissions released into the atmosphere as a result of that energy consumption are still attributed to the company. This indirect nature of Scope 2 emissions can sometimes lead to a disconnect in understanding the full impact of energy choices. By switching to renewable energy sources such as wind or solar, companies can effectively reduce their Scope 2 emissions, aligning their operational practices with their sustainability goals. The most complex and often the most significant category is Scope 3 emissions. This category encompasses all other indirect emissions that occur in a company's value chain, including those from suppliers, business travel, product use, and even the disposal of products at the end of their life cycle. For example, consider a clothing manufacturer. The emissions generated during the production of raw materials, the transportation of those materials, the energy consumed during the manufacturing process, and even the emissions from consumers washing and drying their clothing all fall under Scope 3. This scope is particularly challenging to measure and manage because companies often have limited control over the activities of their suppliers and customers. However, it is essential to recognize that Scope 3 emissions frequently represent the largest portion of a company's total carbon footprint. This realization has prompted many organizations to engage in collaborative efforts with their supply chains, encouraging sustainable practices and transparency. Understanding the distinctions between these three scopes is vital for any company committed to reducing its climate impact. By clearly identifying where emissions originate, businesses can develop targeted strategies to address them effectively. For example, a company might prioritize reducing Scope 1 emissions by upgrading its machinery to more efficient models while simultaneously working with suppliers to lower Scope 3 emissions through sustainable sourcing. The journey toward understanding and mitigating emissions is not merely a compliance exercise, it is a strategic imperative for organizations seeking to thrive in an increasingly eco-conscious world. As stakeholders, consumers, and regulators demand greater accountability, companies that grasp the nuances of Scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions will be better positioned to lead the way in sustainability. This understanding empowers them to take meaningful actions, innovate, and ultimately contribute to a healthier planet for future generations. Thank you for watching this episode of the Acopoly Carbon Accounting Masterclass. Every number we track, every footprint we reduce, and every decision we make brings us one step closer to a low-carbon future. Whether you're an individual, a business, or a community leader, your action matters. Stay curious, stay committed, and keep building the world we all deserve. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for the next step in your sustainability journey. This is Acopoly, decoding the climate economy, one story at a time.